Mic check, mic check, mic check. 212. Dun 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 dun. Oh man, it's been a long few days. Long few days. But we had to come back to the studio and do the Sunday session live. We need to get more consistent with the Sunday session lives. Because I miss doing them. I did one last week, right? I think I did one last week and the week before, but no, I didn't do one the week before. I think I did one last week though. But it's good, it's fun. It's a good way to recap everything that's happened in the week of boxing with you lovely folk that have tuned in on this cold winter evening. That's why I've got the hoodie on. Yes, there's a radiator in this studio, but it's still cold. I think it is anyway. Let's have a little gulp of this. All right. Let's say hello to a few people in the chat. Let me set up. Let's do this properly. Stop being lazy. Let's do this. What's this one? Sergit Dami. Is it Dami or Dami? Dami says, let's start with the first question. How would a Pete Crawford do against a Pete Mayweather or Pac-Man? You're talking about two all-time greats there. As good as Crawford is, he isn't that. He's not an all-time great. You're talking two all-time greats. I would always put my money on two all-time greats over a very, very elite fighter in Crawford. So Pete Mayweather beats him on points. Pete Pac-Man, you know, I mean, it depends what kind of Pac-Man you're talking. Are you talking the Pac-Man that literally tried to kill Ricky Hatton and Miguel Cotto? You're talking that Pac-Man. That Pac-Man was ferocious. So he'd probably win on points as well. So I would always go Mayweather Pac-Man. And I'd be shocked if anyone went any other direction, by the way. Let's not get too excited. I mean, you know, I'm a Crawford fan, but I mean, yesterday was his first time beating an elite fighter who then subsequently retired. So that was a fighter that was on the way down, right? I mean, I don't know how many elite fighters that Mayweather and Pac-Man have done back to back. So you got to go Mayweather Pac-Man. Good question, though. Good question. Not digging you, but you got to go Mayweather Pac-Man. Billy Bob Joe says Crawford should do one fight deal with PBC, make Spence fight happen, then go to Matchroom. I think he should do one fight and then decide what he wants to do. I don't know about the go to Matchroom thing because who have they got at 147? Do you know what I mean? You really want to just stay free and just wait. Do the Spence fight, probably do a rematch because I think the fight will be so close and so good. And then just wait, man. You're 34 now. He's 34. I don't know when he's 35, but he's 34 now. And just keep doing those single fights. There is no rush whatsoever. None. Dan Brown says, hi, Ade. Do you think Crawford should move up to 154 and face Jamel Charlo or Castano? Think he could beat both? This is going to be quite interesting because in terms of what the future holds for Crawford, like if you think of the next three fights, the next one we hope is Errol Spence. Like we hope that's the next one. After that, it could be an undisputed against Ugas. It really could. I mean, you'd want to become undisputed. Like if he can become undisputed in two weight classes, that's ridiculous. Then you're talking about all-time great status. And then you never know. I mean, then you start chasing what are the money fights? Because Ugas wouldn't be a money fight. You chase what's the money fight? Is Castano a money fight? Is Charlo a money fight? Charlo won't be at 154 then anyway. So who are the money fights? I mean, is he looking at Josh Taylor potentially? Is that a money fight? I don't know. So it'd be interesting to see what he does. But I guess once he fights and potentially beats Spence and maybe even Ugas, he'll be 35, maybe coming up to 36. If he still wants to continue, he's just doing it for that. And it always should be about that. But then you're definitely doing it for that. You're getting your pension money in, right? So I think the Charlo and Castano, I think he can beat Castano, by the way, although Castano is as tough as old boots. But I think the Charlo fight won't happen. There was a lot of talk about it happening, weren't there? But I can't see it happening. Okay, interesting. I'm gonna, you know what it is? I always miss out on the super chats, so I'm gonna quickly read the super chats as they come in immediately because I feel bad for people that send them in and I don't read them. I always fuck up. So let me quickly jump onto those. Then I will go back to your questions. By the way, how clean does this stream look? Look really clean, by the way. Guys, this could be a long stream. I ain't doing shit tonight. So this might be a long stream. Will says, and thank you, Will, says, Kenny just didn't want to witness his son inevitably get slept. I really don't understand the criticism. I think there's criticism coming his way because of the things he said after as well. So it isn't just a stoppage. Although, let's not forget, I mean, his son did have war on the back of his shorts. If you have war on the back of your shorts, you know what I mean, you might want to continue fighting. You might want to. Again, you're wearing the Marvin Hagler type shorts. You might have to go out on your shield just because that's what you're professing to be. But I think the things he said after, like my son didn't do all the right things in the lead up to the fight, this and that. And I thought that was wrong. Out in your son like that was wrong because I look at someone like a Shawn Porter, and Shawn Porter seems to me to be the best role model for any boxer this generation. Like in terms of who he's fought, in terms of how he looks after himself, in terms of the way in which he speaks about the sport, in terms of the way in which he lives his life, fantastic. So when his dad outed him like that, I was like, come, man. Come, your son's just been in there against the pound for pound number 2 or 3. Gave it a good go for 10 rounds. And that's how you kind of out him in front of everyone. Didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. All right, another super chat, and then we'll go back again to the questions, peeps. Alexander Wilson. Appreciate that, Alexander. Thank you. Says, I think Conor Benn is going to have a hard time with Algieri. I don't think Ben has good feet. Ben beating Porter was a crazy idea to me. Yeah, that was ridiculous. And you know what? I'm happy you said this because a lot of people have jumped on the matchmaking, and I get it. I get the matchmaking because I think when Ben beat Vargas, I think if you were to have told me that 2 fights later he's going to be fighting Algieri, I'd have been like, come on, man. No chance. He's going to go, go, go. But Algieri can cause him some problems. Because Ben still, for me, I watch Ben. I still look at someone that's learning on the job. I think Algieri can show him a few different looks. Will Ben beat Algieri? Yeah, I think Ben will beat Algieri, but I don't expect it to be a blowout. I really don't. Regardless of Algieri inactivity, regardless of the fact that Algieri is pretty much a part-time boxer, I think Ben will have some problems because I think Ben is still learning the game. I really do. Again, I think Ben will win. But I don't think people should sleep on Algieri as much as they are because of Ben's performance against Vargas. Because when Ben fought Granados, you saw that Granados was showing him a few different looks, and Ben really didn't make the adjustments. And that's a Granados that's on that way down as well. So we'll see. What's this one? I'm literally going to go question to question now. Big Depot, I'll name this account later. How are you doing? What show do you do on TalkSport these days? A few different shows actually, but my main show, Monday to Friday, is called The Social, which is very good, very fun. Me and Rory Jennings do it. I really enjoy it. And that's from 3 p.m. till 6, 7. But I do other little bits and bobs here and there as well. Like on Thursday, I'm doing a show with former Arsenal and Everton striker Kevin Campbell. So it just depends, but I am there 5 days a week working, unless I'm doing stuff for the Zone or anyone else. Giovanni Minto says, good evening, Addy. Good evening, Giovanni. Good evening. Anthony Vanda says, yes, Addy, big up to you, brother, as well. Oh, I forgot my phone was on silent. Thought my phone was on silent. Sorry. What's this one? Bafu Owusu says, Terence Crawford is pound for pound number 1 for me. No chance. No chance. He isn't. He isn't. I don't. It depends what you mean. Do you mean you think he's the best boxer, or do you think he's pound for pound? He's not pound for pound. Canelo is. Canelo is easily pound for pound, in fact. And Usyk, after beating AJ, is pound for pound. I mean, these are things that are just true. Inoue has recent better wins than Crawford. Like Crawford, is number 3 or 4. Sorry, number 4 or 5. Again, don't get me wrong. It's a good win yesterday, but that win doesn't elevate you over Canelo, Usyk, or Inoue for me. It doesn't. I can understand people making an Inoue argument, but it certainly doesn't elevate you over Usyk. Usyk came to London and beat up AJ in front of 65,000 people. Bust him up, nearly stopped him in the last round. Nah, man. No. Like Usyk's above Crawford. Super chat here from Alexander Wilson says, Aram did talk up Crawford, Josh Taylor. Yeah, it's there. Obviously, Aram can talk up as much as he wants. Terence isn't with Aram anymore. And how blatant did Terence make it in front of Aram right there? Are you with Bob? Are you with Bob and Top Rank? No, they couldn't make the Errol Spence fight when I was with them. So no, we move on. But look, I like that fight. I don't mind it. Josh Taylor undisputed at 140. I think Josh should have the catch-all fight, then go up to 147. You should go up now. Go. Why wait? You've cleaned up at 140. Unless there's something financially rewarding at 140, don't stay. I think the fights that I thought could happen at 140 for Josh, I don't know if they will anymore. It looks like Teofimo might stay at 135 for a couple more fights, and Mikey Garcia lost to Sandor Martin. So go to 147 and start chasing. Like if he goes to 147, he's right in there for me with the new crop of guys coming up, Ortiz, Boots Ennis. He's right there. And he might get a crack quicker than them just because he's a champion. So I think he should go to 147. I think he should chase Crawford. He really should. He should call him out. In fact, that's what he should do. After he beats Jack Catterall, no disrespect, because he will beat him, he should call out Crawford. Super chat from DP44 says, Kenny loves the limelight. Embarrassing. He should be proud of his son's brilliant career rather than outing him and stealing the mic. He was asked a question, to be fair, by the ringside reporter. Like, maybe because I kind of do that job now. I mean, he's asked a question and he's answered it. What I didn't like is that he didn't need to out him like that. Like, he could have just said, I stopped it because, you know what, he got put down a couple of times. He was taking too much punishment. And everyone would have been like, all right, you know, cool, you stop it, you stop it. When he started saying, you know, he basically saying that he didn't try and train him. And I'm sorry. I mean, come on, man. You don't do that. You don't do that. But I don't know, man. It's difficult. It's difficult, but you don't do that. JM says the footage of the corner going into the 10th was unreal. Bud realizing he was behind on the cards and understand that he needed to get him out. Tool bag. That was crazy, by the way. Literally, someone ringside, by the way, screamed at Bud, I think you're down. And Bud literally came out and went through those gears like, which almost made me feel that it was always there. Like it must have always been there. That ability to, I'm down. Oh, I thought I was winning. Okay, 1 second. And that was it. Because that first knockdown came very early in that 10th round as well. So, man, I was surprised by how quick Bud came out in that 10th. Very, very surprised. But that's why, I guess, again, we have him as one of the greats of this era because he's got that ability to do that. Like, he is a great, great finisher. When he knows you're hurt, I mean, he will switch stances. I mean, you think of the two punches that got the knockdown yesterday. One was a left and one was a right. I mean, this guy's got power in both hands as well. Really, really good fighter. All right, let's go back to the order of questions. All right. I think, did I say Neil Smith? Did I respond to you? If I didn't, Neil, what's up, brother? DP44 says, even fight, but Crawford always finds a way. Early stoppage for me. Dad loves the limelight, but only going one way. So probably saved his son from getting hurt. Maybe. I don't think of he is spiteful, Crawford, but you're not in there with a puncher like I'm trying to think of someone like a Deontay Wilder, right? Where if you get put down, you might not get up. He's not in. I don't think of Crawford as that spiteful. And again, I refer to what he had on the back of his shorts. I mean, it said war on the back of the shorts. And if Porter had made that decision prior to going into the ring, that was going to be his last fight. And I don't know if he discussed it with his dad. I know they said they didn't, but I don't know. They're that close, right? He might have discussed it. That's not the way you want your last fight to end. That's not the way, which kind of makes me feel like the door might be left open for him to continue fighting. I know he said he'd retire. How many fighters have said they're going to retire and they fight again? That is the last way. If you're a champion warrior like Porter is, you want to be remembered in your last fight. Your dad throwing in the towel after a couple of knockdowns. You don't want that. In a world championship fight against an unbeaten fighter, you don't want that. So it makes me feel there could be one more because of the way in which that ended. Ian Hampton says, even that, my bro, haven't been on for a while. Hope you've been good. Not bad, Ian. I don't know if you are happy or upset. I think you're happy that Ollie has been sacked by United. Upset, obviously, because he's a club legend, but surely this is a good evening for you. Pop a bottle, cheer yourself up. You might be getting Pochettino at the end of the summer. Yeah, that might be happening. All right, guys, you know what? Again, yeah, what I'm going to do, every time a super chat comes in, I'm going to jump to it straight away just because I miss them every week. And I do feel bad, people doing super chats and I don't read them. So I'll do the super chats, then go straight back to the comments that come in order again. Yeah. Leaderboard guy, £5 super chat. Appreciate it, my man. Says, Ade, time for people to put respect on Dan Azeez. Yes. Last night was a statement. So shout out to Nicola Hopewell fighting in 3 weeks. Let's start with Dan Azeez first. Statement. That was a statement with a capital S. That fight going in was a 50-50 fight. In fact, some people had Hosea Burton as favorite. Matthew Macklin, I think, just as the first round was about to start, he said that he has Hosea Burton as a big favorite. Dan Azeez didn't lose a minute of that fight. Like literally dominated from round 1 until the stoppage. Was so confident, was literally calling Burton to come in and trade with him. Great jab to the body, which surprised me. And then he has this thing here where he just jumps at you, a bit like Shawn Porter. You feel like you're out of distance, and all of a sudden he's there. Fantastic performance from Dan Azeez. And look, I have to be honest with you. I spoke to Dan Azeez about a month ago. I was on the Undefeated podcast, and he came on, and I didn't mention him at all when I mentioned all the good light heavyweights in the country. Obviously, I'm completely wrong because he's definitely within that top 7, top 8 light heavyweights now. What a win, unbeaten still. And hopefully now he makes some good money. Hopefully he's in some good fights and makes some good money because he deserves it, because that was a really good performance on Sky Sports as well. Not a small hall show where no one gets to see it, right? Sky Sports, fantastic. And good luck to Nicola Hopewell. The female division now starting to move a bit. I think we are starting to get some really good fights in the female division. So hopefully she can come through and get on one of those big cards, right? Get one of those big cards, because we are starting to see some really good matchups from girls across the pond, girls coming from Australia. The European girls are tough, and we've got some really good British girls as well. So good luck to her in what she does. 2 secs, guys. Alexander Wilson says, I'll never forget Jim Watt saying Crawford was not good during the Ricky Burns fight, and Burns was a better fighter. Terrible bias. Wow. Remember that when Terence Crawford came over and beat Ricky Burns? That might have been about 10 years ago. Jeez, that was a long time ago. Jeez, that was a lot. That was about 10 years ago. But yeah, look, he clearly is a lot better than maybe people expected him to be. I don't think anyone expected him to be this good. Not a free weight world champion, unbeaten, pound for pound, top 3, top 4. I don't know if anyone knew that. But yeah, what a fantastic fighter he is. All right, let's get back to the order of questions as they've come in. 2 secs, peeps. We're just going to jump in. Loads of questions coming in. We'll get them all in, don't worry. Scott Arbuckle says, yes, Ade, yes, brother. Usu, Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford. That's what we hope. That's what we want, right? As fight fans, that's what we want. And there really now shouldn't be any reason why that fight can't be made. The only problem we might have is financial. That might be the only issue in terms of a split. I still think that Errol is the A side. I hate talking A side, B side, but I think Errol's the A side. So I think, if anything, it might be a 60-40 split. Errol obviously has 2 belts as well. Let's not forget. What's he got? The WBC and the IBF. Ugas has the WBA. Obviously, Crawford's the WBO. So you never know what might happen, just to try and even things out. Although we want to see it straight away, Crawford might fight Ugas. Ugas would love that fight, and Crawford might fight him to try and get that belt. And then you've got an undisputed fight potentially in the summer of next year between those two, because Spencer said he is back in training, and his next fight will be March. So if Spence can fight someone in March, Crawford fight Ugas early spring as well, then who knows, right? Who knows? That all could happen. Guys, loads of questions coming in. We are going to try and get through them all as much as possible. DP44 says, as we are talking welterweight, what a barnstormer Ortiz Avanesyan will be while it lasts. Will be a brutal 5 to 6 round with Ortiz finally by stoppage. That's exactly how I think that fight will play out. Exactly how I think it will play out. And it was good. Like, there was a lot of crap at the WBC convention last week Tuesday. There was a lot of good. That was the good. Avanesyan versus Ortiz, because I do think Avanesyan is above Cavier Lascas, who Ortiz just fought. And I think this is a good good step. It really is. A lot of people are calling for Ben to fight Avaneeson. Ben isn't ready for Avaneeson. Ortiz is. And I think this will be the final fight Ortiz has before he starts screaming out for world title fights. And I almost think like Boots needs one as well. I think Boots needs one more. I know people think Boots can go and take on the Crawfords and the Spencers now, but I think Boots needs one more. I would love Porter to say he wants one more, because I think Porter really gives Boots Ennis some problems. And I love that matchup, but we'll see if Porter stays retired. We shall see. In Hampton, Ade, I'm beyond thrilled Ollie is gone. He wasn't good enough. Simple as, at least I have LH to remind what a champion is. That fight is going to the wire. Wait, at least I have LH to remind what a champion is. That fight is going to the wire. Lewis Hamilton. Oh, sorry, Lewis Hamilton, who beat Max Verstappen in Qatar today. Him versus Max and Lewis. Fantastic. See, that's when I know my sports. LH, he didn't even give me much of a clue, but I still knew what he was talking about. Jake Jansen Super Chat says, Ade, why has this never been mentioned? Josh Taylor against Ben. Build it properly, could be huge. Scotland versus England. We never had that before. It's never been mentioned. You're right. It's never been mentioned. I think Ben is a bit away from it being discussed yet. I think Ben needs a good win. I'm trying to think who Ben could fight so we start discussing that. Ben's a bit away from that, We're talking about Taylor potentially being pound for pound top 5, right? For me, he's in my top 5 pound for pound. And we're talking about Ben fighting Algieri. They're miles away. The size won't be a problem because Josh Taylor's a big 140, but they're miles away right now. But we'll see in a couple of years' time when Josh Taylor will be at 147, chasing titles, and Conor Benn hopefully will be at world level, then it makes sense and it's a massive fight. But right now, if that fight was made today, then literally you put all your money on Josh Taylor to get a stoppage. Ben's not ready for that at all. But yeah, I'm surprised that no one's talked about it, but maybe that's why. I don't know what that means, but it says, thank you for the super chat. It says, imagine at the beginning of the year if someone had said we'll probably see Spence Crawford before Joshua Fury. This is boxing, man. This is boxing. I actually tweeted, what fight, if you could make any fight right now, what fight would you make? And a lot of people obviously had said Crawford Spence, and I get that. But for me, I'm fascinated by Josh Taylor, Teofimo Lopez. Fascinated. Like the build-up would be incredible because both of them chirp a little bit. I absolutely love that fight. I also would love to see Teofimo Lopez, Javonte Davis. I'd love to see those fights. But yeah, obviously, Crawford Spence, yeah, but I think Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor would be incredible. And now, with regards to Joshua Fury, I'm not sure we ever see that, by the way. I mean, Fury was talking today about Dillian White, were talking yesterday, saying, it's an easy fight for him. At least he's starting to speak about it. We'll wait to see what the WBC do with their mandatory situation. But I think Joshua Fury's dead now. Can't see it happening at all. All right, one more super chat, then we'll get back to questions. Alexander Wilson, thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. It says, Bud beat Mikey and Danny Garcia in amateurs. A lot of people said he was going to be great, but he never got a push. One of his pro fights was at the circus. He took the long road to get here. Wow. I love that. I love the fact that he's taken the long road to get here because he appreciates the road even more now. He really does. And I guess, look, sometimes that's what happens, right? If you don't come out of the Olympics or they don't think you're a very, very special talent, you're not going to get that push. You're not going to get it. And he's had to work out and push and push and push. And now, at the tender age of 34, he's in a position where he can go to the highest bidder and there will be a few bids for him. Like he can go to the highest bidder. He's fought it. He literally has got away from Bob clean. How many fighters get away from Bob clean? You know how many fighters Bob has sued? At least Terence was able to get away from him clean. And that's why I loved what Terence did yesterday when Bob's sitting right next to him and giving him that look. And he's like, I'm leaving. I'm gone. You couldn't get me the Spence fight. I'm gone. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. All right, let's go back to the order of questions. Ad Dub says, yes, Addy, you're a workaholic. Adrian in the house. You know what? I think I'm only a workaholic because no wife and kids. I think that's it. If I had a wife and kids, then yeah, I probably wouldn't be doing this all the time, but no wife and kids. So why not? Why not? What's this one? Sai H says this is a much better camera angles. We can see more of the studio. Yeah, man. It's getting there, man. We are getting there, peeps. We are getting there. Lee the bald guy says, Ade, my fellow bald brother. Hope you're all good. I'm good, bro. I am well. What's this one? I think I've read that one. Have I read this one? Amandeep Jahal says, yes, Ade. Kenny Porter was way too disrespectful yesterday post-fight. Yeah, I thought he was a bit. We spoke about it a lot, so we're not going to get into it again, but I thought he was a bit wrong. A bit wrong. Punch Perfect Boxing. Evening, Ade, mate. Punch, get ready. You're going to be sitting over there soon. And me and you're going to go back and forth over some boxing. Get ready. We're close to getting it done, so it's going to happen. It's going to happen, brother. All right, guys. Just quickly 2 secs. Super chat here from Anthony Vander says, I had Prime Kovalev and Stevenson on my Christmas list a few years ago. I really hope we get Spence Crawford. Yeah, what you don't want it to become is the Kelbrook Amir Khan situation. But yeah, both still in their prime. I think, look, it's a shame what happened to Spence with regards to the injury. He would have beaten Pacquiao. Let's be honest, he would have. But I do worry for Spence. I worry about how big he looks sometimes. Obviously, people talk about the drinking. I haven't witnessed it since years ago when he was with Charlos and Gervonta Davis. But I hope that he is fully on it, because Crawford looks like someone that is. Because I don't want no excuses. That's why I'm saying all this. I don't want no excuses at all. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Let's get back to the top. Wagwan Ade. Ortega, Wagwan, brother. WM, man like Ade. Liam Ashley says, good commentary from last night. It was all right, innit? It was all right. I was tired. Jimmy Cullen, even though they did a great job on the live watch along, Shawn Porter retires from boxing after last night. Still a bit shocked by that. And I guess maybe his dad, like, when they say you're 1 foot out. So maybe what his dad was saying in the post-fight stuff, like, he wasn't doing things correctly. I think his dad even said something like they used to be at the gym and you could tell that sometimes Shawn be looking at the clock as though, are we finished yet? So maybe his dad sensed that his son is 1 foot out. And, if you're 1 foot out, he's got a nice family, a couple of kids and a wife. The last thing a dad wants to see his son do is take more punishment if you're 1 foot out. Like Dog Shawn of a few years ago, before the wife and before the kids, maybe it's a different Shawn now. Maybe that's what being a family man does to you, right? I mean, we've seen a lot of fighters, as soon as they have a kid and a few kids, they start thinking about health a bit more. They start being conscious about taking beatings because they know how dangerous it is. And maybe his dad knows all this stuff about him as well. No one knows you better than your dad, right? That's been around with him since the very beginning, from when he started putting on the gloves. So, yeah, I don't know. 2 secs. What's this one? KK the Adventurers. Even though they're great to be back. Man, I love doing this. I love it. Learn English with Isolus. Even that, how much will Shawn Porter be missed? Not only a great fighter, but credit to the sport. Also, a lovely speech from his father yesterday. You know what? Yeah, adding to the first bit, I think he'll be missed greatly. I think he's fantastic for the sport. And I've said this. I mean, when you hear stories about some of these younger fighters and all the silly things they're getting into, all the stories you hear about the ring, I don't think I've ever heard Shawn, and I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing. I don't think I've ever heard him talk about A side, B side. I don't think I've ever heard him talk about a split. I don't think I've ever heard Shawn talk anything negative about the sport of boxing. I love his podcast. I don't know if you guys are subscribed to his YouTube channel. I think he's fantastic for the sport. And look, he would jump straight into a ringside thing. Like I know he works for PBC. If I'm DAZN, I'm getting Shawn on the commentary or telecast immediately. I know he does other stuff, but I'll put in a big bid and get him in. Now that he's fully retired from the sport, sign him up. Sign Shawn up because Shawn is fantastic. He will very much be in the mold of a Timothy Bradley where he will say what he wants. Fantastic for the sport. Really good. Tyson Fury plays says, watched you years ago, saw you on Sky Sports recently. Glad to see the green chair is still there. It's still here, my man. The green chair goes nowhere. Muzzy Moyo says, evening family. Hope all is well. Still buzzing about the fight and my winnings. I called it. Knew Bud would stop him. Yeah, a few people I think said Bud would stop him late. Muzzy was definitely one of them. I didn't. I think I said he would stop him on a couple of videos, but I was a bit indifferent with it just because we know how tough Shawn is. But yeah, Bud shows how good he is when he can go through those gears. And it's not like people laugh when you say statements like that, oh, tool bag or gears. Those things are real. Like he literally went through the gears. Like he started the fight orthodox. He got caught a couple of times. He did. And he's like, oh, fuck it. Let's just go southpaw now. Like that ability to be able to switch is, and not just go southpaw for a minute to kind of confuse your fighter, to go southpaw and actually fight southpaw properly is a skill. A very, very elite skill. It reminds me of I don't know if you guys watch snooker, but Ronnie O'Sullivan, for me, the greatest snooker player ever. And this guy, obviously right-handed, would just take the piss and play left-handed. Like that ain't normal. Like what Terence Crawford does in terms of going southpaw ain't normal. Because I remember I used to see fighters do it back in the day, like Junior Witter used to do it. And I used to think, you're confusing yourself. Terence does it, and it's as good as him fighting orthodox. Confusing, man. That's very, very confusing. Mark AP says Kell Brook's win over Porter has looked better and better as the years have gone on. Yeah, it has. It was a close fight, by the way. Sometimes I score that fight. Sometimes I go and watch fights back and just score them. And like, I'm a big, big Kell Brook fan. So everything Kell does, I'm like, yeah, Kell's won the round. When you score that fight again, the fight is very, very close. But yeah, I do think it has looked better. But I mean, it's crazy to think Kell beat Shawn. Look at Shawn's career after. Look at how correct. Go and look at Shawn's career after that. Look at Kell's. So as much as Kell got the win, Shawn's won in the boxing world after, hasn't he? He's won convincingly after. In fact, crazy. W. Thornton says last night's fight was not a classic. Why will the next fight be any different? It wasn't a classic. No, I think Crawford looked a bit off, if I'm honest with you. I think Porter did what Porter always does. Good fight, though. They can't always be classics. And this is what I was saying about, remember last week when I was talking about, was it last week? I was talking about Kiko Martinez, Kid Galahad. And I said, like, we criticize those kind of matchups because there's a massive favorite all the time. Sometimes you can get two elite level guys and it almost can be like chess. Sometimes when you get a big underdog and a favorite, the underdog will just come and fight like his life depends on it. And sometimes those can be decent little fight cards that we sleep on a lot of times because we want to see name versus name all the time. Muzzy Moya says it won't be Spence. Spence will fight someone else, guaranteed, especially with the eye injury and seeing Bud last night. What I didn't like about the Spence situation, like, I get it, the fight, put on by Top Rank and all. I understand that, but you're there. Errol Spence is there. Like, someone has to find Errol and convince Errol to come into the ring. And even if the fight isn't going to happen, okay, I'll give you a good example. Do you remember when Manny Pacquiao came in the ring after Errol's win against Danny Garcia? Do you remember that? Was it Danny Garcia that Errol beat? Or was it Mikey Garcia? Might have been Mikey. Apologies. I think it was Mikey Garcia. Manny Pacquiao came in the ring. Someone obviously just got Manny Pacquiao to come in the ring. There was no fight signed. In fact, that was a couple of years ago. It wasn't even like that was even the next fight that Errol had. But Manny Pacquiao got in the ring and everyone got excited, like, oh, it could happen. Now, even if Errol and Crawford haven't signed to fight, get him in the ring. Get him in the ring. I remember when Tyson Fury did it ages ago with Deontay Wilder. I think Deontay Wilder had beaten Spilka. Tyson Fury climbed over the ropes, got in the ring, and then a face-to-face. And lo and behold, a couple of years later, obviously that ignited something and they're fighting. Get him in the ring, man. Errol just walked out. I was like, what are you doing, Errol? Come on, man. Trying to sell a fight here. Scott Arbuckle says Josh Taylor would be really competitive in a fight against Crawford. He would. He would. I don't think I can sleep on Josh Taylor's skills anymore. I think Josh Taylor is really, really good. And again, seeing the size, and I don't know if that even matters too much, but there is a massive size difference, isn't there? Josh is bigger than Terence, by the way, much bigger, like thicker as well. I don't know if that's him not living the life, but he's a lot thicker and taller. But Josh is an undisputed king of 140 pounds who has beat better opposition at his weight than Terence has beat at his weight. He will give Terence some problems. Will Terence beat him? Yeah, I'd put my money on Terence, but it'll be a good fight. Be a very good fight. And again, if I'm Josh, I call for that fight. I really do. Edward Rickett says, I see Crawford being like Canelo and being a free agent. I don't think Spence wants to fight, though. Spence wants to fight. I don't think I've heard a lot of people say things like Spence is maybe a bit scared and all. Nah. Spence wants to fight. Spence, just like most of these boxers nowadays, wants to be paid well for the fight. Spence isn't scared of Crawford. Crawford isn't scared of Spence. The teams behind them might be, but those two, not scared at all. They're not scared of each other at all. Like, I knew Spence wasn't scared of Crawford when they done that little head-to-head about a year and a half, 2 years ago. No, longer, but 2.5 years ago. Spence eyed him up and sized him up, and Crawford did the same. And these guys aren't scared of each other, not one bit. Marcus Bryan says Spence, Ugas, Taylor, Ortiz, Ennis. Crawford's got plenty to keep him at 147 until he retires. Yeah, he's got a lot now. He's got a lot. But I mean, remember, this is a guy that did jump 135 to 140, 140 to 147. He might go again. He might go again. I think he's incredibly undersized from 154. Incredibly undersized. Some of the giants in that division are crazy, but I don't know. We're seeing other fighters jump weights like there's no tomorrow, like there isn't no weight classes. So he might want to do that. But for now, I think there is more than enough good fights and more than enough good money at 147. 2-6. Mark Osborne says, I think Porter hasn't got the desire to train anymore with all of his other businesses. I'll tell you this. If that wasn't a training Porter yesterday, if that was Porter that hadn't trained, I don't want to see what Porter training's like. Porter certainly had been training and training well for that fight. He looked fit. He was just against the guy that just has a bit more ability. That's all it is. That's all it is. I don't think it's that with Porter. I think Porter, every time he's fought the very, very elite, has maybe fallen short. And I don't think he wants to become a gatekeeper. At 34, you don't want to put him in with. He just doesn't want to be a gatekeeper, does he? I don't think he even gets up for those type of fights. If I'm honest with you, he gets up for the fights where there's major shit on the line, and then we see the best Porter. You watch him against Ugas. It was awful performance, if I'm honest with you. Even his fight against Formella, it was almost just routine. He doesn't like those kind of fights. He likes fight where he's the underdog and there's an element of danger. And if he can't take those fights, he's not going to stay around to be a gatekeeper. Chippy says, should Crawford do a free fight deal with PBC? No, not at all. One fight. Sign a one fight deal. And if it's against Spence and you have to have a rematch clause in there because there's loads of belts, then do that. But one fight deal, like literally, he should bet on himself right now. It's a bit risky, but he should bet on himself. He thinks and genuinely believes he can beat Errol Spence. Sign a one fight deal. Don't like you want to be able to do what Canelo's doing. What Canelo's doing is fantastic. Literally, Canelo can go to any broadcaster right now and they would welcome him with open arms because he is literally Mr. Cash Girl. And he wants to be able to fight the people he wants to fight. If you're Terence and you've been stuck to Bob for a while, the last thing you want to do is be stuck to another broadcaster or promoter. It's the last thing you want to do. What's Mark Osborne saying? Only 26 likes, 133 in the chat. Hit that like button. Oh, now there's like nearly 400 in the chat. Guys, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe and share, please. I need to say that more. I don't, but, you know, come on, guys. It should be a given now. Please hit the like button. What's this one? Tyson Fury plays. I think it's that we've seen Porter being dropped late in fights. It was never near the end of the round for the second knockdown. He'd have a minute to recover and try to get through the fight. Maybe. And we saw him got dropped late in the fight against who did he fight against? Adrian Broner. Obviously got dropped late in the fight against Errol Spence. I don't know. Maybe I think sometimes with him it's just a tiredness, if I'm honest with you. I mean, didn't get hit that much yesterday. I mean, it wasn't clean, was it? I mean, I saw some shots, but they weren't really like, sort of shots that shake your boots type shots, were they? I think sometimes his energy outputs so much that he just get tired and just loses concentration for a little bit. But I mean, again, if that's his last fight, all I will say is that if it's his last fight, which he says it is, you don't want to go out like that. You don't want to go out like that. Do you? You don't, do you? 2 secs. There are so many comments coming in, peeps. Jesus. KO Boxing Vibe. I like that name. Says thoughts on Crawford or Spence versus Boots Ennis. I think both beat him. I mean, look, I like Boots Ennis. He's ticking all the boxes for me, but I've been watching this sport a long time to know there are levels in this sport, and there are so many guys coming up. Like, again, I always refer to it. Andrade Berto coming up was lights out, very, very good. As soon as he stepped up a little level, remember his fight against Louis Colazo, I was like, because in the lead up to it, he had looked really good and everyone was talking about him. There was even a fight made between him and Shane Mosley that didn't happen. But everyone was like, my God, Andrade Berto's going to do this. He stepped up a level and it got very hard very quickly. As good as Boots is, let's see him go up another level first before we start crowning Boots the next best thing since sliced bread. I need to see another level because there are levels in this sport. And I'm not quite sure, because he hasn't been in those fights yet, if he's at that level, the Crawford-Spence level, because that's a very, very good level. Super chat here from Alexander Wilson says, Virgil Ortiz is aiming to fight Spence as the mandatory. His team thinks he's ready right now. He's aggressive. I'll give him that. He's aggressive. He's strong. But again, it goes back to this level thing. But look, sometimes you have to roll the dice. Like, there isn't that perfect gatekeeper really at 147 anymore. So sometimes you just have to roll the dice and see what you can do. Yeah, if he's going to go for it, let him go for it. Let him go for it, man. I think Errol's still got a lot left to offer. Obviously struggles at the weight, but a lot left to offer. I mean, look, as much as I like Crawford, I mean, if we're going to go on resume and what have you done for me lately, Errol's probably the best 147 fighter on the planet. So good luck to Ortiz trying to fight him, because Errol is a bit special. Like, don't be fooled by all these antics. Errol's still very, very good. Very, very good. What's this one? Bernard Cordia, I think that is, says, bro, Kenny shouldn't have outed his son. Felt like it was more about him and his ego rather than his son. Not good. Yeah, I didn't like it. Look, we've touched on it, so there's no point going back and forth on it. But yeah, I didn't like what he did, man. I mean, come on, man. Especially because Shawn's one of the good guys. Do you know what I mean? Now, that's the kind of talk. You know who needs him? Adrian Broner needs a Kenny Porter. Like, Kenny Porter should retire from Shawn and say, Adrian, come live with me for a little while. And he'll sort Adrian out. Shawn doesn't need those kind of things said about him, because Shawn's a good guy. I mean, I don't know him personally, but again, from what we see, he seems like a good guy. Jake Jansen says, even Jake. We got a busy show today, peeps. Loads of questions coming in. Boxing Pound for Pound Jack says, a 5-fight deal with PBC, which includes Furman, Spence, Junior Ugas, Jamel, and Castano. Yeah, I mean, it obviously includes all those names, but it's not like he's going to fight those guys back to back, is it? Yeah, but look, if anything, he's got to sign a deal with PBC. I mean, that's kind of where it has to be, because that's where the fights that he wants to make are. That's where they've been for the last 4 or 5 years. So I'll be shocked if his next fight isn't with PBC. It probably will be. Some people said DAZN, Matchroom. You go where your fights are. Like, if he's a 168-pound fighter, then yeah, maybe, or other. But he's a 147 fight, and you go where the best 147 guys are, or even the best 154 guys are, and they're right now with PBC. Okay, switching attention to the UK scene for a little while. Durrell Carter says, is Riakporhe ready for a Coley? No, he's not far off, Riakporhe's good and strong, but Coley's, that time off that Riakporhe had, which was a couple of years, has kind of derailed him a little bit. You think he beat Chris Billiam-Smith, and that's why Adam Smith yesterday was saying that he mentioned Riakporhe as though Riakporhe is British level, and I was like, huh? Riakporhe beat Tommy McCarthy, who was European champion, who lost his belt to Chris Billiam-Smith, who Riakporhe also beat. So Riakporhe is definitely European level and maybe fringe world, but I think he's now about 3 or 4 steps behind Okoli, who is top 3, top 4 cruiserweight in the world now. I think Riakporhe's probably just touching that top 10, top 15 mark. Would you fight a YouTuber? Nope, because I cannot fight like that. I'll be embarrassed, you know what I mean? I'll be like, I can't fight like that. Like, sometimes I watch some of these YouTubers and I'm like, you can't fight. And I'll be watching myself thinking, I'll be embarrassed with how I'd perform. Kusayim, hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Thank you for the super chat. It says, Ade, what is more dangerous fight for Canelo, Makabu or Beterbiev? Much love. Good question. Beterbiev has better boxing ability than Makabu. Makabu is just bigger and stronger. He is. I mean, it's weird that I'm saying that because everyone's going, oh, Beterbiev's strong. Makabu's a cruiserweight. He's a 6'1" or 6 foot maybe cruiserweight. He's a big guy. He's a small cruiser, but he's a cruiser nonetheless, and he's got a good knockout record. Beterbiev might be more dangerous because Beterbiev has this unbeaten streak, right? Like, fighters that are unbeaten don't think they can lose. Makabu knows what it's like to be knocked out and beaten, and he knows that feeling, and that feeling will come back very soon. Beterbiev will feel like, I will destroy you. So, I'll go Beterbiev. I'll go Beterbiev. Like, if it was announced tomorrow that Canelo is going to fight Beterbiev, everyone would think, okay, this is the guy to beat Canelo. As soon as Makabu was announced, everyone's like, oh, Canelo's going to be a 5-weight world champion. So I'd go Beterbiev. Close. Good question. Scott Thompson says, after watching how well and good Porter was against Crawford, do you think even more Ben needs to be reined in after calling for Porter fight only a couple of months ago? Yeah. I've said for a while that people need to be around Ben to save Ben from Ben. Like, Eddie, as much as people laugh, again, like Eddie, people are laughing about the Algieri fight. There's a reason they've made Algieri fight. There's a reason. Like, they're not dumb. There's a team that would come together, would be his trainer. It would be Ben as well in that conversation. Ben will call for anyone, but there's a reason they're doing Algieri. Because, like, okay, we've seen a few things that we think you still need to work on before you take that next jump. And those things would have been off the back of the Granados fight. If he smoked Granados like he did Vargas, say he smoked Granados in 4 or 5, then we'll see a bigger opponent. He didn't. So I think they're still a bit like, this is our cash cow potentially for the next couple of years. Let's just be careful with it. Let's be careful. Ghetto Genius says, bless fan, hope you're good. Where's the hat? Hats over there, actually. Crawford versus Taylor, not bad, but Taylor will get stopped. Yeah. I think Taylor will get stopped as well. Look, Taylor, very, very good fighter, but I think Taylor will get stopped. Rakoba 2020 says, I don't know how Bud will do against Spence. Yesterday, he took a lot of clean right hands. You know what? And he did, by the way. But I always go back, and no one should want to take shots. No one. From anyone. But I always go back to what Danny Garcia said. What Danny Garcia said, I think it was the Fight Hub interview. And he said, like, Porter has no power. He says Porter hasn't got it. So all that swarming stuff, it looked, the shots look big, but he has no power. So I do sometimes feel like fighters take a shot and like, oh, is that it? And they become a bit more cocky and confident and almost a bit like, oh, okay, you know what? I can get in there now because I felt his power. There's not much. So I'm going to get in there and land mine, and I might have to take one. I might have to take one to do it because you know what? He's not a puncher and I'm going to be okay. And I'm not trying to say that's what Crawford did. Who knows? But I do think I've seen Crawford a bit more defensive-minded than yesterday, although Crawford does leave openings sometimes. But I think maybe he felt the power and thought, not much there. Not much there. Although There was a round where I thought he got wobbled a bit. I think it might have been round 4 or 5, where he definitely looked like his legs bent down a little bit. Not sure. Vinny Durant says, "What up, Ade? Salute to the chat." Yes, salute to everyone in the chat. Guys, I'm trying to run through as many questions as possible. I feel bad when you guys get the questions and I don't answer them, but there are hundreds here. Ryan B, mind blown that Porter beat Usyk in the amateurs. Don't even make sense. That honestly, that don't even that is crazy, isn't it? The current heavyweight champion of the world got beat by a welterweight. It's strange because what fight? Who is it? I think it's Korobov. I think it might be Korobov, who was a fantastic amateur, and he beat Usyk. Everyone was excited about Korobov coming through. I think it was. Everyone was excited about Korobov coming through, and he beat Usyk, and Usyk disappeared for like a year and a half and came back as a heavyweight. Literally disappeared. I don't know if he went to bulk up. I don't know what he did, but then he vanished. So that was at a middleweight when they were fighting. So I'm guessing this is even after he lost to Porter, but he fought Korobov. Everyone knew Korobov was a special Russian talent. And then he disappeared and came back about a year and a half as a heavyweight. So yeah, don't know, man. Strange, very strange. Ennis, Virgil Ortiz, who wins? Giovanni asks, my money would be on Ennis right now, but it's a good fight, right? Very good fight. Jake Jansen says, honestly, we've been talking about Crawford and Spence since 2016. Fighters these days take about 5 or 6 years to have their big fight. Look at Duran, Hearns, and Sugar Ray. They all fought each other. It does feel like we've been going on a long time, doesn't it? I think we're almost getting that over here with the light heavyweights. You know what I mean? And the funny thing is, we had that over here as well with the middleweights. I don't know if you guys remember when we had Darren Barker, Martin Murray, Matthew Macklin. There was another one as well. There was another middleweight. I can't remember who it was. I think they were all even on a round table with each other. None of them fought each other. Like, we didn't even get those fights. So it's not just Shawn Porter and Crawford. I mean, and sorry, Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. It's boxing. It's boxing. It's annoying. It's boxing. But, you know, keep talking about it until the cows come home, unfortunately. DP44 says, who wins? Boatsi, Callum Smith at light heavy. Great fight. What a great fight that is. Callum Smith looked really good in his comeback fight, didn't he? That guy he fought was no slouch. And he put that guy, remember the guy's legs were twitching. I think Boatsi looked good against Bolotniks. This would have been such a good question to ask me if Boatsi had fought and Vlasov and won. Obviously, he's now out of that fight. If I had a fiver, where would that fiver go? Boatsi. I don't know. It's tough. I'd go Boatsi. I would go. But I say that with no, like, I don't know. Not quite sure. Not quite sure. Base the Kid in the building, the hardcore casual. Nearly got 100 subscribers as Base the Kid. I checked today, Base, and I think he was on like 95, 96. That 100 is such a good target. It's the first target. It goes 100, then you're going to go 250, 500, then 1,000. But I think once you get the first 100, it's all well and good. So guys, go and check out Base's channel. Again, support if you can. What does he say? Check the post-fight presser. Kenny makes it clear, and Shawn agreed with him. Shawn agrees with everything he says. Like, I've never seen Shawn disagree. So it doesn't hold much weight for me that Shawn agrees. And I think Shawn's the kind of person that, and look, I back Shawn to be his own man and argue with him, but Shawn doesn't seem like a kind of person that would ever disrespect his dad in front of people. Like, behind closed doors, he'll be like, Dad, you know, I don't think he'll swear, but he'll say, Dad, what have you done? Why? Blah, blah, blah. But in front of the cameras, I think he'll just nod and agree. A bit like Chris Eubank, the relationship between Eubanks, where I've never ever seen Eubank Jr. and Eubank Sr. have a disagreement. Not really. I think behind closed doors, though, they do it, but in front of cameras, there's that level of respect that they've got for their fathers. So although Shawn agreed with everything his dad was saying to the cameras, I think behind closed doors, it's another discussion. That's what I think anyway. Have I missed any? All right, I think I'm kind of getting there now. What's this one? Starship Octopus. Yo, Addy, I noticed you saying about your stream being behind last night. That usually happens when using apps and devices, mate, compared to watching through TV channel. Hope happens to me a lot. Yeah, we got to get that sorted. There's a couple of things we got to do in the live watch alongs. We got to get that sorted so we're in sync. And I've got to put the fight clock on as well. There's loads I've got to do, man, to be honest with you. We'll see what we can do. Matthew D'Souza says, Kenny Porter said his son wasn't focused leading up to the fight. He was looking at the clock and we spoke about that. Counting the time. Again, why are you outing your son, man? Outing your son like this. Jeez. Ghetto Junior says, what? Bud had a bad day at the office. It happens, but I think there was too much respect for around the fight. Felt it was going to be strange. Was there? I'm not sure. Yeah, there was a lot of respect, I think. But I think it was more respect out of there didn't need to be any trash talk. Like the fight almost sold itself. But I think once they weighed in, that respect went out the window and they knew it was go time. They knew it was go time. I love this, by the way. I thought this was beautiful. Crawford leaving Top Rank and speaking truth in front of Bob Arum was satisfying. It was beautiful. Like he was literally leaving him and was saying it to his face. That's when you know Crawford don't fuck about. And to be fair, though, Bob has said a few naughty things about Crawford in the last few months, hasn't he? About, wanting out of the Crawford business. So I think both of them, leave on happy terms. It will be interesting to see what kind of numbers that did yesterday. I think they were aiming for around 200,000. I'm not quite sure it's going to get that. Ade, is Eubank Jr. Williams cancelled? Your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea what's going on. I saw Gareth A. Davis tweet yesterday. He spoke to someone. Obviously, he was there for TalkSport at the Sky Sports showing yesterday in Wembley. And he said he spoke to someone and they said that the fight is still on and that Liam Williams isn't injured. And then I've woken up to a few Twitter messages saying Liam Williams has confirmed he is injured. I have no idea what's going on. As it stands right now, I ain't got a clue. The issue with that now is this. The fight was obviously the fight card's in Cardiff. The only reason the fight card's in Cardiff is because of Liam Williams. I mean, what do? Do you cancel the whole thing? Who headlines? Clarissa Shields versus some girl that no one knows? I mean, that's a bit of a pickle. Especially considering they were going head to head with the Zone. I mean, Eddie Hearn now will be rubbing his hands together because obviously now everyone's going to tune into Conor Benn Algieri. Seems to have worked its way out for Matchroom. For Matchroom. Super chat here from Joe. Really appreciate it, my man. Thank you very much. Ultratech suggested this earlier. Kenny may have said pre-fight that he'd stop it after 2 knockdowns in a round or something. That explained him banging the canvas. He knew his dad was stopping it. Yeah, I said that on so I did a video straight after the live, and I said exactly that. I said he was banging the canvas because he knew that that's it, the fight was over. Banging the canvas. That's the reason I think he banged the canvas. I think they all agreed pre-fight that, you know what? Look, you're fighting Terence Crawford. It's going to be a tough fight. If it ever gets to a stage where you knock down twice, that's it. It's over. And he probably said, yeah, cool. So, I think that's the case as well. Where are we? Right, I'm trying to just get back to some sort of order. Shit. So many. I don't think I've ever had this many come in before. I guess everyone's just bored on a Sunday. I might have missed some, guys. Sorry, just Matthew D'Souza says Ben is domestic Euro level. He's not world level and never will be. I don't know about the never will be part. I think he can get to world level. Again, world level for me means, say, top 10, top 15. Could Ben get to a stage where he's considered by everyone, so not necessarily the governing bodies or box rec, but about all of us, that Ben's a top 15. Yeah, I think he can get there. I really do think Ben can, 100% Ben can get there. 100%. All comes down to just the right fights at the right time. And I think Matchroom will do that for him. What he is now is European level. And even that is tough because again, European champions Avanesian, but that's kind of where he is now. But to say he will never get there, I think it's not fair. I think there's a good chance he will. 786 NAF says, Addy, how do you think Crawford performs if he moves up to 154 pounds? I think it's tough for him. I really do. I mean, the guys up there are just like really big, like really, really big people. I don't know what they're cutting down from, but they're not small. I mean, even when you look at not just Charlo, but Castano, just really thick and big guys. So look, he can definitely win some fights up there, but he's a small guy, man. Like this guy was fighting at 135 pounds 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 135 pounds. So yeah, it'll be a problem for him. Unless he does at a Floyd and can get them, like bore them down to 150 or 151 or something, then he's got a chance. But if he's going to go up there and fight them legit at 154, nah. Brian Newton says, Addy, what do you think of Andy Lee recommending Adam Booth to train AJ? Strange one. Just because I look at kind of Adam Booth's, you know what it is? You know why I think he's asked him to do that? Because one thing I think we've all said about Adam Booth over the years is mentally he's good, right? He's good for that. In terms of a style of his fighters, I don't think AJ can fight like that. But mentally, he'll get AJ on the right track. He will. That's just the way he works. So I think that's probably what Andy Lee's referring to, as opposed to, stylistically the setup that Adam Booth has. I think he's talking about the mental aspect, and it's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. What's that say? Siobal says Taylor smacks Lopez. Don't know about that. Don't know about that at all, mate. 786 NAF says, what do you think about Callum Johnson versus Joe Smith Jr. in January? Great fight. Great fight. That's a don't blink fight. I think he needs one more, but he's got to take it. He's clearly been offered the fight. You got to take it. But I think Callum Johnson needs one more before Joe Smith. But what Callum Johnson has in abundance is power. So we'll see. But you expect Joe Smith to come through that. But good luck to Callum Johnson, man. He's been out. He's been begging for an opportunity. Remember, this is the guy that towards the end of his time with Matchroom was talking about having to find work. So well done to him. Hopefully he gets paid well. It's another world title opportunity. He's had one before with Beterbiev where he put Beterbiev down. So good luck to him. But I think he might be just lacking a bit at the very elite level. No, in fact, he is lacking a little bit. What he's got is power, but the other fundamentals he's definitely lacking. But we'll see how he gets on. What's this one? Giant Sandals says, I don't know why Taylor seems so uninterested in the Lopez fight. If Crawford leaves, it's by far the biggest fight he can get with Top Rank. I don't think, no, he's not uninterested. He's certainly not uninterested in the Lopez fight at all. Taylor, like there's some fighters, yeah, that I genuinely believe would fight anybody if they asked to fight, obviously in and around their weight class. Taylor's one of them. Taylor's, look, we sleep on Taylor a lot, Taylor is undisputed. And it's not like, what I like about Taylor as well. Do you remember, like, it's funny because I'm going to mention another Taylor, Jermaine Taylor, the former middleweight undisputed king, where Bernard Hopkins had gathered all the belts and then Jermaine Taylor fought him and won all the belts. Taylor has literally come into it with no belts and has literally fought everyone single-handedly and got their belts. He's even traveled to America, beat Ramirez, destroyed Ramirez. Taylor ain't scared of no one. Taylor will fight Teofimo Lopez tomorrow if that fight could be made. And he'll think that he's going to beat him. I love Taylor, man. I'm not joking. It took me a while to get around it, but I do love Josh Taylor. Like, love Josh Taylor. I think he's a killer. And before, he didn't used to talk. That's what I remember, like, when he was fighting O'Hara Davis. And I remember Barry McGuigan was almost like, come on, O'Hara, sell the fight. Because Josh couldn't talk, not comfortable with talking. Now, he's got everything. He's got everything. What's this one? Mr. S says, Bud eats Spence in 5. No one's eating Spence in 5. Spence would go to 154 pounds. No one's eating Spence in 5. In fact, I think Spence, I was going to go too far then, say 160, but I think GGG could still, even GGG today could still eat him in 5. What's this one? Tyson Fury Play says, if Canelo wins the WBC cruiserweight bout at 190-pound limit, then goes and wins the WBO cruiserweight bout at 200 pounds, does that count as a separate weight class because the weight limit is? Such a good question, but no, it doesn't. But I like what you're doing there. Boxer Talking Tactics says, hi, Ade. Hope you're having a lovely Sunday. You know what? I am having a good Sunday, you know. I'm looking forward to going to work tomorrow, actually. I've had a relaxing day. It's been a good one. It's been a very relaxing period. So yeah, man. Thank you though for checking in and asking. Super chat, big one. Ben Odom, really appreciate it, my brother. Thank you very, very much. I'm liking this question. Conor Benn should come down in weight. The size of Boots, Ennis, Crawford, Spence, etc. is concerning. Very, very, very concerning. You know, when I realized we have a problem is when Conor Benn went to America. Why did he go to America for? Anyway, he went to America and he done that side-by-side interview with Teofimo Lopez. Have you guys seen it? Teofimo Lopez, who was at that time getting ready to fight Kambosos. I say this because Teofimo Lopez at that time had started cutting weight until the Kambosos fight got cut or got cancelled or postponed, should I say. So Teofimo Lopez had started cutting weight. Ben had come off might have been the Vargas fight. Teofimo Lopez is bigger than Conor Benn. So, okay, so understand what I'm saying here. Conor Benn had just finished the Vargas fight. Obviously, that fight was 147 pounds. He would have ballooned up on the night, and he would have then started ballooning up after the fight. So I'm guessing Conor Benn, when he was standing next to Teofimo Lopez, was 160 pounds plus. Is that fair? Teofimo Lopez had started cutting weight for Kambosos, and he's bigger than Conor Benn. He's 135 pounds. Mad. It's actually mad. Like, these guys are so big. I don't understand how they're cutting weight. Like, even yesterday, Shakur Stevenson, I was looking at him. Shakur Stevenson was as big as Terence Crawford. So yeah, I'm with you. Like, Conor Benn compared to these guys is tiny. He's almost, I don't know if he can make 140. I don't know what he can do, but I mean, these guys, I would love to see a picture of Conor Benn right now standing next to Devin Haney. I think Devin could be, or might look bigger. It's mad, but I've seen it, and I'm with you. I'm with you. Good question. Good question, man, because I am so with you, because I think that Conor might have a problem when he comes up against these guys, because these guys are really, really big. Good question. Look at this question. I need to do some research onto this one. I think it's because there has to be a certain amount of females in a weight class. That's probably the biggest or the easiest answer. Has to be a certain amount of females in a certain weight class in order for there to be a title on the line. And I don't think there is that. Hence why they jumped to world titles straight away. But let's hope we get to a stage where there is that. And I think there will be soon. I think there will be. But good question. Ryan B says, Porter is a good commentator. Sad way to end his fight career, but at least he had a crack at the top, guys. He had a crack at the top. He became a world champion twice. I think his first world title was against Devin Alexander, I believe, way back for the IBF. Then lost that IBF, obviously, to Kell Brook. And his second world title was that win against Danny Garcia, I believe. But, you know, I always say, you know the phrase, get in, get rich, get out. And he gets out of all his faculties in place. And that's what we want to see in the sport of boxing because, again, far too many injuries. So well done to him. Well done to him. Uh, 1-2 treble 2-1. Spence still has the eye issue. Crawford versus Boots is ready to be made. Crawford gets nothing from fighting Boots. I hate doing this, but he gets nothing. Boots has no belt, hasn't beaten anyone. We don't know if he's a draw yet. Well, what exactly is Crawford fighting Boots for? Crawford's 34. He's not 26. At 34, if you're going to risk it against someone like Boots, and it is a bit of a risk, Boots has to bring something to the table. It can't just be because you know what, I'll tell you this. If Crawford were to beat Boots, people will say, yeah, Boots ain't beating anyone anyway. He's got to have something. So for me, you go Ugas, just because Ugas has the belt. Ugas isn't a draw either, but you go to Ugas because Ugas has the belt. And then you start looking at money fights. And you even, I'm telling you this now, you even try and go Keith Thurman out of retirement or whatever he's doing, because it's a bigger money fight than Boots. At this stage, you go for fights, unfortunately, and this is the business side of me talking rather than the fan in me. He's going to go for fights that mean a lot more than just what fans want. He's going to go for fights that mean something, a title, money, like sold out arena. It's got to do something, and Boots doesn't bring any of those. Not yet. Not yet. I'm loving this chat today, by the way. This chat good. Giant Sandal says, I think Ugas has to fight for the regular. Yeah, he does. But I think this is boxing. I mean, I'm sure if Terence comes to the table and says, here, let's do this, I think something can happen. I mean, you know, you get some sanctioning fees, good sanctioning fees as well. Vinny Durant says, Cavi Velasquez knocked out Avanesian already. He did knock out Avanesian. I think the reason Vinny's saying this is because I mentioned that I think Avanesian now is a bit of a step up from Cavi Velasquez. I still think it is just now in terms of where they both are in their careers. But you're right. Cavi Velasquez did knock out Avanesian. Or maybe they're on the same level now. Maybe. I mean, Avanesian's look good of recent. Okay, we read that one. I think I've read that one as well. Crawford versus Boots. We kind of done that one. Bit of a joke one here. Ade, would you take full power Canelo body shot for 20,000? It will be a broken rib. I would need a doctor to tell me everything that could happen. So I would need a full, like, this is the worst that can happen. Broken rib, punch it. I need everything. And then I'll assess it. Like, possible death. I need everything. I need to know. But ideally, I would go to the negotiating table and ask for 50 grand. Oh, geez. Rowan Perry says, how's it going, Ade? First and foremost, happy retirement to Porter. Yeah, happy retirement, man. Happy retirement to Porter. It's a shame, you know, we don't get to see fighters like Porter over here. I mean, like boxing, so like the Americans don't really travel like that, do they? It's a shame that we didn't get to see a Porter over here. That's why I really hope we do get to see a Canelo over here. We never got to see Floyd fight over here. Thurman. I mean, Spence we did and Crawford we did, but it's a shame we didn't get to see Porter. 2-6. Okay, I read that one. I remember reading that one. Have I spoke about this one? I'm not quite sure if I have, but thoughts on Andrade. Obviously, Andrade. Is it Andrade or Andrade? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Beat beat Quigley on Friday. Almost gone under the radar because of what happened over here on Sky Sports and obviously early hours of this morning. But jeez, man, he must be so frustrated. He's another one that's, what is he now, 33? Coming off a win against Liam Williams, then he fights Quigley. And this isn't a dig on Quigley, by the way. I don't want it to come across like that. But, you know, most of the other top guys in and around 160, 168 are getting opportunities now. Like, you would have seen Billy Joe Saunders win the lottery fighting Canelo. Caleb Plant win the lottery. Callum Smith win the lottery. You know, Gennady Golovkin's fighting Murata. Like, people are fighting people. Even Charlo fighting Derevyanchenko. People are fighting people. You know, even Rosado fighting Munguia. You know, and Demetrius Andrade ain't fighting anyone. It must be, oh my God. Like, he won this title. Think about this. He won the title beating Walter Katendokwa. Anyone know what Walter Katendokwa is doing right now? Anyone? I have no idea. What I will tell you, though, is Walter Katendokwa's next fight I commentated on in front of 50 people in Zimbabwe. That wasn't a dig at Walter. I'm just trying to say, like, come on, man. What's going on? What is going on? Super chat here from DP44 says Lopez Davis is the fight I want to see. What a tear up, skillful and brutal. Can't call it. Yeah, that would be the one that really attracts a lot of people. Like that's a big fight. Obviously, Floyd, will be involved in the build-up as well. Teofimo Lopez's dad doesn't take no bullshit. That'd be an interesting fight. Can't see it happening. Not anytime soon, anyway. I think I saw someone just ask the question: is Porter a Hall of Famer? Don't know. Two-time world champion, yes. Biggest win, Danny Garcia. Problem is, there's a few big losses in there as well. Not quite sure. Might be. 786 NAF says, Ade, give us your top 5 fights you want to see next year. Top 5. You know what I'd love to see? Don't think it's going to happen. Teofimo Lopez, Loma rematch. So let's start then. I'd love to see the Teofimo Lopez, Loma rematch. Would love it. I think everyone's almost forgotten Loma for some reason. Like, hello, you lost and it was close. So I'd like to see that one. I would like to see Dillian White versus Tyson Fury. Hear me out. Fights for me isn't just about what happens on the night. It's the build-up. I love the build-up. I love the whole circus of boxing. And you're going to get one hell of a build-up, especially over here. Like we love a British dust-up. The build-up to Fury versus White is going to be fantastic. It's going to be in a stadium. You're going to have Dean White. You're going to have Shane Fury. You're going to have Peter Fury. John Fury, apologies, going all at each other. It will be fantastic. Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren. You're not sold. Are you not sold on that? So that would be 2. Crawford Spence obviously goes without saying. Teofimo Lopez, Josh Taylor. Busy year for Teofimo in my book. And I wouldn't mind seeing Gervonta Davis versus Devin Haney. Not Gervonta Davis versus Teofimo. Gervonta Davis versus Devin Haney. I think it'll be a good one as well. There's loads of others, but I think those would be my 5 just off the top of my head. Todd Boyd says, Ade, who do you think Crawford actually fights next? Who do I think he actually fights next? It's a very good question, my man. You know what? I'm going to go for it. I think he fights Errol Spence next. Why not? What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? I think he fights Errol now. Everyone talks about, you know what it is, about this. Everyone's like, oh no, Errol's going to want to warm up. Errol don't care about a warm up. Errol nearly died in a car crash. His next fight back was Danny Garcia. No warm ups here. No, you know what? Yeah. Danny Garcia is an interesting one. Danny Garcia is a very, very interesting fight. I know Danny speaks about going to 154. He hasn't done it yet. Danny would, yes, he's coming off a loss to Errol. I get all the things people are going to say. I don't mind that fight. Would anyone mind that fight as an introduction to PBC? Terence Crawford versus Danny Garcia, even at 154 pounds? I'll take that. RJS says Dan Azeez versus Shakan Peters, who won. When did Shakan fight again? He fought, might have been a week ago, but he won anyway. So there's 7, I think, and then you add Shakan Peters to it. I think you've got to. So there's 8 really good light heavyweights. I think Shakan deserves to be mentioned. I don't think Dan would want that fight yet. I think Dan would want, not yet. I think Dan would want a bigger name. So I think Dan would look at the winner of Lyndon Arthur versus Anthony Yard. I think he thinks he's that now. And he has every right to think he's that. He just beat Hosea Burton, just stopped him. So I think Dan would probably think, I want one of the real big guys in the division. I think him and Craig Richards will be good, but I think they're friends. I think there's that South London thing there. So I don't know. I think he'll be looking at Lyndon Arthur, Anthony Yard. He would. He was supposed to fight Yard, he mentioned this, but I don't know what happened. I don't know if Tunde didn't want the fight. I'm not quite sure what happened. I don't want to stir any trouble here, but something happened there. couple of super chats. I want to quickly read them. Empty my account for you tonight. Stop doing it. Just send in normal questions. I'm going through them. I promise I'll read them. Tournament at super middleweight. Canelo, Ward, Calzaghe, Roy Jones Jr. Who wins? Super middle, Roy Jones Jr. every day, all day. In fact, Canelo is not even making it to the final. He's not even Canelo ain't making it to the final. Who's he beating in that? Who's Canelo beating in that? Ain't making it to the final. But Roy Jones Jr. at super middle, forget it. Forget it, my man. Quinn 40 says, evening, dude. I just watched King Richard. Not bad. I might watch that. I might watch it. If I've got nothing to do, it's not my kind of film, but I'll watch it. Are you not surprised you haven't heard any whispers about AJ? But in terms of trainer setup, I've heard quite a few whispers, actually. Nothing worth speaking about, but I've heard a couple of rumors with what AJ is going to do. But we're hearing this rematch is March. We are now approaching December. Maybe he stays with his training setup. Maybe he stays. Maybe he stays. Maybe he does, maybe he stays with what he's got. John Hughes says, Ade, how do you see Yard Arthur panning out? I see Yard getting into him earlier this time. I mean, remember the last round where kind of Yard had him on wobbly legs? I think Yard starts a bit faster. Yard seems to be very cautious and starts slow. I think maybe he doesn't trust his own gas tank. I think he puts it on him a lot quicker. In saying that, look, Lyndon's the better boxer of the two. Yard is obviously the stronger of the two. So if Lyndon can keep it, on his jab and do that for 12 rounds, Yard's going to get to him. Yard will get to Lyndon. It's whether or not Lyndon can take what Yard brings at him. Maybe he does. I completely disagree with this statement. Floyd Mayweather was boring for boxing. If everyone fought like Mayweather, then boxing would be dead. No sirree. Fights aren't always supposed to be phone booths entertainment. Sometimes you got to love a bit of skill. I love the way Floyd fought. I miss Floyd. Like, my God, those were my best times watching boxing. A Floyd Mayweather fight night was just, I would be round Ryan's house. The drinks would be popping. It was a treat. I miss it. Let it come back. It wasn't boring for me. It wasn't boring for me. I know this is trolling. This one I'm going to read out, but I'm going to read it out just for the. I'll give him his little troll time. Bud was clearly losing the fight until the fake stoppage. He is way overrated, not even top 10 pound for pound. This is the kind of guy I'd love to be sitting there and have a conversation with about boxing. But yeah, clearly trolling. We're good. He's trolling because he's left the comment about 20 times. Andy Lee was the other middleweight in that little middleweight showdown. Okay, cool. What's this one? Jesse Gam says, greetings from Canton, Ohio. What do you think of this business with Pulev and Frank Mir? Apologies if you've already discussed. Just join the chat. No, I haven't discussed this. Hopefully it's still in the chat. Ridiculous. Do you guys know what he's talking about? So Kubrat Pulev obviously last fought against Anthony Joshua. Frank Mir is a former UFC heavyweight champion. Fought on Triller a couple of times. I think once or twice. They're fighting in a triangle ring. Like, when you're trying to reinvent the wheel, like, what the fuck? A triangle ring. It's the stupidest thing ever. Am I going to watch it? Yeah, I'll watch it. But I don't even know. Like, I don't even know why Pulev's doing this. Like, is Pulev retired from real boxing? Strange. I have no idea what's going on here. But yeah, find it strange, but I will watch it. A lot of people here are saying that the Liam Williams, Chris Eubank Jr. fight is cancelled. I wonder what they do with the card. Again, remember, this card is in Cardiff, the Motorpoint Arena. It's in Cardiff because of Liam Williams. What do you do? Do you still keep Eubank Jr. on the card and get him to fight someone? I have no idea what you do here. Do you let Clarissa Shields headline against a girl that no one knows? Sky have a lot to think about there. John Hughes says, if Yard loses, how do you see his career? will go, if Yard loses, like I know his relationship with Tunde is a strong one, but if he loses, I think that could be that for him and Tunde. I still think Yard's got a career there, but it's going to be difficult because this is a guy that, and this is the camp that think that Yard's world level. If he loses to someone that is still quote unquote British level, it's a big setback, massive setback. What's this? Sands7 says Lopez wants Taylor to fight at catchweight 138, but Taylor's struggling with 140. Wants to have one more fight, which is his defense. Why would Lopez even want that? That's just, I can't stand that about boxing. Floyd used to do that a lot. Manny Pacquiao did it as well. 145, 151. Who the fuck are these people making their own weight divisions up? It's 135, 140. If you want to fight the guy at 140, come up and fight me at 140. If you're calling me out, fight me. Jesus, man. Nonsense. Nonsense. All right, what else we got? What's the time? Jam, 9:26. All right, guys, another, what should we do? Another 10? Another 10, 15 minutes? Tamid Udin says, I said after the Leeds live session, Ben is a small welterweight, and you said, no, he's not at 8. You know what? Okay, I take it back. I was wrong. He is a small welterweight. He is. What did he start as? Did he start as a 140? But yeah, he's a small. But maybe he's doing it the right way. Sometimes I feel like a lot of these guys kill themselves. Maybe he's doing it correctly, but I don't know, man. The other guys the Americans just seem so much bigger. So much bigger. I don't know. What's this? Michael N says Errol Spence tweeted this. If I was Shawn, I wouldn't pay my daddy. I don't know about that. I think that relationship, like, don't be too harsh on judging Kenny. That relationship between him and Shawn is fine. It's a good relationship. It's a good father and son duo. They've come and they've done a lot in the sport of boxing, made a lot of money, become world champion twice, been in some real big fights. It didn't go their way yesterday. And you get a split second. You get a split second to make a call. Split second, right? I would rather Kenny call it early than call it too late. You know what I mean? We've seen some bad things. Call it early, live for another day, then call it too late. If you know what I'm saying. So yeah. All right, where are we? I have not, what Prav said, did you see Eddie Hearn put Andrade's mum in her place? I haven't seen, I've seen the screenshot of the interview. I'm going to watch it after this because a lot of people have mentioned that to me, but I haven't seen it. A few people are saying it was jokes. I need to see it. I got to see it. I haven't seen it. 1-2 travel 2-1. Interesting note, Ugas beat Crawford in the amateurs. It's weird how some people weren't great amateurs and just turned out to be really good pros, and some really good amateurs, nothing, man. Strange. 2-6. All right. Canelo's fought at 154. So fantasy matchup, who wins? Crawford versus Canelo at 154. Yeah, but Crawford's not fought at 154. So Canelo. Yeah, I mean, I've got to pick the guy that's actually won the belt at 154. Surely. Darren Hopwood says, say what you want about Porter, but he is the only man to fight every man at 147. No ducking, no protecting, bullshit zero, etc. And never let anyone down. Far worse than the Hall of Fame. Yeah. I do sometimes, I feel like the mindset must shift and change when you've lost that zero. I think it's easy to say that now. And I do think Shawn would have been one of those fighters that would have fought anyone anyway. But when you haven't got the zero, and so there's two things. Shawn wasn't a big draw. It wasn't an elite level draw, was he? Like no one was, like he wasn't selling out arenas early, and he lost that zero to Kell Brook. I think once that happens, you then literally will fight anyone. It's like, oh fuck it, I'm not a draw. I need to fight people. Give me what whatever you've got, I'll fight. I don't need to protect my own anymore. It's gone. So I think once you lose, everything changes. Darren Hopwood again says, I'd like to see Devin Haney in a meaningful fight. LOL, F cares who it is. He's a snooze fest at the minute. Ref, what we waiting for? Laughing out. We're waiting for the lie. You know what? Jojo Diaz is a meaningful fight. I think, and I hope you agree with me, by the way, because I do think we're stuck in a rut now with fans where if it isn't like number one versus number two, everyone's like, shit. Number one versus number 8 could be a very, very good fight. Number 2 versus number 7. Jojo Diaz is legit, a very, very good fighter. And I think that's going to be a good fight. And obviously that's in 2 weeks' time, that fight, innit? So yeah, it should be a good one. It's the question that no one's really asked. Who wins, Spence or Crawford? No one's really asked it, which surprised me. I don't know, man. I really don't know. I didn't think Crawford looked that good yesterday. I don't know if that's down to Shawn Porter being aggressive and maybe causing him some problems. I don't know, but I didn't think Spence looked that good. I really don't. Sorry, I didn't think Crawford looked that good. Apologies. Spence has been in with the better opposition by far the better opposition, and has done really well. I thought he looked really good against Danny Garcia, considering it was a long layoff coming off that career-ending injury. Looked okay against Mikey, but that was a good Mikey that came into the ring. Wasn't good on the night, but was good. Beat Shawn as well. Came to England and bash up Kell Brook. Bash up Kell, I will edge it to Crawford because I just think Crawford's better. But to me, it's a 55-45 split. I think it's such a close fight between them two. So close. That's why I don't have all the talk about Crawford. Spence stuck in Crawford. I'm not having that at all. Are more fighters moving up in weight than before, or am I overthinking it? You're overthinking it. You're overthinking it. There actually isn't that many fighters moving up in weight as you think. It's just the big names like Canelo jumping. I mean, you look at go through it in your head very quickly. Go through all the 135 pounders. They're all still there in that weight class, really. Unless you're thinking of Loma, they're all still there. All the 140 guys, all still there. All the 147 guys, apart from Danny, all still there. 154-pound guys, the only one that's really moved up and has stayed there is Jamal Charlo. Everyone really is in their weight division. Canelo's just taking the piss. Another one from here. You're lucky. I'm reading a lot of your questions. What's the point of Taylor fighting Cattrall? If his intention is to move up to 147, the fight, well, he owes Cattrall. Cattrall is his mandatory, and Cattrall stepped aside so he could fight Ramirez in that undisputed unification fight. So he has to fight Cattrall, vacate. And I not only that, but I just think, you agreed to, like, Cattrall agreed to allow you to fight, I think, out of respect, give him the opportunity. All right, guys, last 5. We've been going for an hour and a half. Before I do that, I don't know how many likes this has got, but if you could do me a favor and please, 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 like the stream, subscribe as well if you're new to it. Please, please, please. I don't even know what all the liking does, I can't lie to you. I'm saying like. I don't know what the fuck it does, but I'm sure it does something because everyone seems to say it. What is the best film you've seen this year? Don't know. I actually don't know. I don't feel like I've seen any new films this year. Has there been anything good this year? I feel like I've seen more because of obviously the pandemic and people being stuck inside. I feel like I've seen more series this year, if anything. So like Netflix stuff rather than films. Yeah. I don't think I've seen any new films. Feel free to point a few out. And hey, we got The Matrix coming in a few weeks. Can't lie, I'm bloody excited about that, boy. Bloody excited about that. Oh, look at this one. Look at this one at the end. Roberto Duran versus Henry Armstrong. Man went deep like that. Lana Kushida, super chat. Really appreciate it. Says, add a quick question. Honorable mention, dream fights. Willie Pep versus Pernell Whitaker. Sweet P. Look at that second fight you've got. Thomas Hearns versus James Toney. What weight would that be at? Probably could make it at 160. I'm trying to be fair to Thomas Hearns here. 160. But let's go over to the first one. Pernell Whitaker. I like Willie Pep, but Pernell Whitaker's was just special, wasn't he? Come on, special. Tommy Hearns versus James Toney. James will get to him. James Toney's defense was incredible, and he's counter punching. I just think it would win that. And Roberto Duran, come on, Roberto Duran is Duran. All right, what's this one? That's mate. I can't lie to you though. Duran versus these are really good matchups, dude. Really good matchups, man. Duran versus dude. Good stuff there. What's this one? Are you excited for Spider-Man No Way Home? No. No, not in the slightest. I don't wrong. I don't mind these Marvel. You know, I'm excited for Batman. It looks a bit darker. I don't mind that kind of dark look to it. But am I excited for Spider-Man? Brother. No, I'm not. Didn't you see the Eternals? I did, and I wish I could unsee it. I thought it was, but you know what? Someone pointed out to me. I was speaking to one girl, and I said, I went to go and watch Eternals, and I thought it was shit. And she was like, it was amazing. So she said to me, what did she say? She said, I obviously clearly don't watch or understand Marvel movies. I was like, clearly I don't understand Marvel movies. Woo! What's this? Oh, wins 2-8 of okay. Big super chat from Ben again. Thank you, Ben. Really appreciate it, brother. It says Spence neutralizes Crawford's rhythm, a southpaw stance with pressure. Spence wins 8-4. It'll be very interesting to see. Obviously, Spence being a southpaw, it'll be very interesting to see what Crawford does in terms of his switch hitting in this one. What a fucking fight that would be, you know. Please, can I just do a quick prayer to the boxing gods? Give me, please, boxing gods. We don't ask you for much. We really don't ask you for much. But please, 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 please give us Errol Spence, Terence Crawford next year. Please. Take my money now. Take it all. Make the pay-per-view $100 in America. I don't care. I'm in the UK. Just make the fight, please. Amen. I thought, man, a lot of you out here think that Spence beats Porter. What does this say? I just saw someone say they don't rate. I just saw something where someone said they don't rate Canelo. Well on, blood. Am I the only one? Flizzy here says, not really impressed with Canelo. I used to be, but honestly, not impressed anymore. You know what? Yeah. He didn't look, I'm the king of, he didn't look that good, did he? But I know what you mean. I wasn't super impressed. Like, I thought his feet and his movement was so awful against Caleb Plant, but you've got to rate him cleaning up the 168 division in 11 months, fighting 3 unbeaten fighters to do that. He started the back end of 2020. Yeah, back end of 2020 with not one belt at 168. We are now in November and he's got all of them and the Ring Magazine belt. You've got to rate that. And he's a smaller guy. You've got to rate that. You have to. See, I've not watched Dune. I might have to. I might have to. A lot of people are saying like artistically it looks really good. I might watch it tonight. I've got to do something tonight, but you know what? I might watch it tonight. Is it one of those 3-hour films or is it the old school 1 hour 30 minutes? I'm an old school Hollywood action movie, hour 30 minutes, in, out, straight action, no stress. You know what I watched the other day, which was awful. Jean-Claude Van Damme, Nowhere to Run. It's on Netflix. Netflix has everything and has nothing at the same time. Like it literally has everything. You think it's there and it's nothing. Like you type in something and it gives you like another option. As nothing. Really. Daniel Phipps says, I watched every video for the last 2 years and the DAZN work couldn't have gone to a more deserving guy. Do you find having more inside knowledge of the sport has changed any of your opinions on boxing? Firstly, thank you so much for the first bit, Daniel. Really appreciate that. You know what it is? I think it's changed the way I sit here and critique fighters. Like, you know, before I was very like, oh, that guy's shit. I'm a bit more reserved on that. Like, I remember the Terry Harper loss. What was it now? A couple of weeks ago. And like, honestly, I don't think Terry Harper did well in that fight. But I remember seeing her reaction after because we kind of got in the same queue to get the shuttle bus back to the hotel. And I'm looking at her thinking, Jesus, man. Like she just literally looked broken. And I remember thinking, I'm the kind of person who would then jump on here and just say, oh, she was rubbish, she was this, she was that. And I feel like I've kind of reined that in a little bit just because you see them firsthand. You see like, especially when you go to the change rooms and interview them after and their hands are all swollen and their faces all bust up and you're like, and then I'm like, oh yeah, but they're shit. It's hard. It's hard. So yeah, I think I've reined that in a little bit. DP44, Nigel Benn versus Gennady Golovkin at middleweight, World War III. I don't think it would be World War III. And this is painful for me to say because I love Nigel Benn. Like in terms of my favorite British fighters of all the time, Nigel Benn and Prince Nassim Hamed. You know what? I've got a Nigel Benn poster here, but I don't have a Prince Nassim Hamed poster. I've got a Nigel Benn one that I just need to kind of frame. Let me show you. In fact, Conor, when I spoke to Conor a couple of weeks ago, he says him and his dad are going to come down here and do it together, the studio, so they're going to come down. But I got this Nigel Benn poster, that one, that I just need to find a really nice frame for that's going to go up. But back to your question, sorry. GGG would destroy him. It would be like, don't get me wrong, I think Nigel would come out and he'll try and fight, but I think GGG technically would eat him alive, would eat him, honestly, and I do really mean that. And that, yeah, like just, no. Like honestly, I know Ben could punch, but GGG, mate, that's just my fault anyway. This is a good question. I don't know if you guys saw this. Base the Kid's asking, and by the way, I know there's someone on here that hates me talking about female or women boxing or female boxing. Base the Kid, the hardcore casual, says, who do you think won between Callie Reese and Jessica Kamara? It's funny because I thought Callie might have nicked it, but then I was looking at the stat sheet after. I think even Callie Reese has put up on her Twitter page. Jessica Kamara is pretty much won in every little fact or stat. She's the winner. Jabs thrown, punches landed. I think she's won a majority of them anyway. So I think Jessica Kamara is unlucky, if I'm honest with you. But I think Callie Reese just nicked it. But the stats maybe tell otherwise. Sometimes, you know, you shouldn't go on stats all the time. You shouldn't go on stats. What is this one? I might have to watch this, you know. Base has mentioned this a couple of times. Watch the new Rocky 4 director's cut versus Drago. Rocky 4 Drago. I might have to watch this. I might have to watch it. Ain't doing shit. All right, I think we're getting into. Oh, God. I'm gonna block you. I'm gonna block you right now. I'm gonna block you right now. Because if he got that win and he deserved it over Canelo the first time round, it's a whole different Golovkin story. Whole different. But he got robbed. He got robbed. He deserves that. It's a shame. It's a shame. Universal Soldier or Demolition Man. Universal Soldier. I watched them again. You know when you watch them back, I watched Demolition Man the other day. I said the other day, about a few months back. This looks old. Looked really, really old. Universal Soldier looked really good still. Dolph Lundgren in that was fucking fantastic. And Jean-Claude Van Damme was Jean-Claude Van Damme. Good fight. Sorry, good fight. The end fight scene was really good. I liked it. When Van Damme injected himself to give himself more power again. Yeah. All right, final. What's the time? What is the time? All right, final 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Literally, I'm going to read out 10 more questions. Well, I'll say that. A few more. Daniel Phipps says, what's your dream job in boxing? Dream job in boxing. I'm kind of doing it now, you know. I'm kind of doing it now. I have to be honest with you. Like, the Zone have given me a lot of opportunities, man, to do different bits. Like I will be going out to the States to work with them very, very soon. So that's crazy. Like, I'm going out to the States to work on a boxing show. It's mental. I like the ringside interviews. They are. I feel they're hard. Like, I can't lie to you. I feel like there's a lot of pressure. Like, trying to think of what to say and trying to get used to doing that. But I'm doing some good stuff right now. So I feel like I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. And I'd rather do what I do. Like, see, like what Laura Woods does in terms of the presenting stuff. I would rather do what I'm doing right now as opposed to that. What's this one? Christopher Klaus, nice football helmet on your desk. Yes, someone gave this to me. Someone gave this to me. Or really cool in it. Yeah, really like that. It's just a nice little kind of ornament thing. Really cool. I need to get a couple of other bits in here, but we're getting there. All right, last two. How much do you rate Josh Taylor and what's next for him? Cattrall's next, and I rate him very highly. Like, I could make an argument with you right now, and a good argument, that Josh Taylor should be higher than Terence Crawford in the pound for pound rankings. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because we're not going to get there. It's going to take too long to get there. But I honestly, I could make an argument. If we're going on resumes, I can make an argument. 2 secs. I don't know if this is true. Gupsta said, Ade, Canelo already had the WBA regular belt 168 from Field. I think he vacated that belt immediately after. Could be wrong. I'm guessing you've got it in front of you, so you're probably right, but I think he vacated after. Jay Langs, Ade, behind the gloves on the Zone. Yeah, that'd be quite good, actually, you know. That'd be very, very good. Max Kellerman on that was so good. Max is so good, man. All right, guys, I think. What's this one? 1 second. All right, let's do this. Heluminas says, higher than Crawford. What you smoking? Crawford's. Should we bring up? I don't want to do it, but Crawford's last 5 fights compared to, let's be very real about this. In Crawford's last 5 or 6 fights, he's fought on Khan, Brook, Benavidez, who was hampered by a leg injury. I don't know if Benavidez has even fought since then. Kavialaskas and Porter. You can't. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but Josh Taylor's last 5 is much better than that. Much better than that. Josh Taylor legit, you know, blood. People are just sleeping on him. And not only is Josh Taylor's resume is better than that, Josh Taylor's fighting unbeaten guys with no damage on them. We all knew Amir Khan done and washed. Love him, done and washed. Kell Brook, 147, washed. Am I lying? I'm not lying. And Shawn Porter's just retired. So Shawn Porter's 1 foot out the door. I'm not being disrespectful, but come on now. Come on, let's give Josh some credit here. You know what I mean? Like Ramirez in America, Prograde, unbeaten. These are really good. These are really, really solid wins. But I love Bud, so I'm not going to do it. But I love Bud. Ben Odom, Ade, we love what you're doing, but don't forget about the kids and a good partner. You know what? He's right, I do need to settle down in it. Man's giving me relationship advice. That's what I love about this community. We don't just talk boxing. We can go anywhere. We go anywhere. Ben Odom's like, you know, Ade, I love you, but settle down and have some kids. Oh, I love it, man. I love it. I love it. Yeah, Ben, I'm sure Ben is, I think Ben might be my mum slyly giving me money. And that is exactly what my mum would just say. Oh, man. Look at that, Ade. We love what you're doing, but don't forget about the kids and a good partner. Oh, jeez. That's fantastic, Rob. That is fantastic. All right, guys, on that note, Ben's right. Let me call a girl to come. Now I'm joking. I'm going to go home, relax. But guys, it's been a very good live. Thank you to everyone that has watched it. Thank you to all the super chats. I tried to read out as many comments as possible. I think I must have read well over 100. Well over 100 out. But yeah, we'll try and get these rolling again. I'm trying to think. Is there any boxing coming up on the weekend? There probably is a card on the weekend, isn't there? But I can't think of what it is. But we will do a Sunday session live. We might do a Q&A on Wednesday or Thursday. I think I might have a day off. We'll probably try and get a Q&A if we can in. But guys, have a good one. As you leave the building, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe button. And what else is I going to say? We're getting there with the studio, innit? Like, I like the fact that you guys can now see the table and what we're trying to do. But yeah. Peace and love. Peace. Oh shit. Yes. Sorry. Wait a minute. We've got Cambosos versus Lopez. Yeah, we got that. Should we do a live watch along? Because I'm not going to the States for it. Should we do a live watch along? Yeah, I think we do a live watch along. All right, guys. Peace and love.